A beautiful piece there, you agree with me. There are many ways parents can play a key role in the education of their kids, especially the informal aspect of education. Being a role model to the children goes a long way to shape and reshape their upbringing so that they can impact their immediate environment in a positive way. Parents also need to pay a close attention to help identify latent talent in their children, and nurturing such talent is germane to boosting their confidence in life. Parents also need to pay a close attention to help identify latent talent in their children, and nurturing such talent is germane to boosting their confidence in life. So, as parents, do you know the God-given gift of your kids? Do you give your children the necessary tools and atmosphere for them to exhibit your talents? However, reality is that not many parents today take interest in the academic pursuit of their children. The reason is not far-fetched because parents are torn between going out to make money and getting involved in the education of their wards. More often than not, the former takes precedence over the latter, and the children are victims. Getting it right? Sort out kids whose talents are already identified and nurturing already in process by their parents.
Hi guys, I'm Prince Jesse by name. I'm an upcoming keyboardist, so let's hear some other sound. I think that was pretty nice. I've been learning keyboard since I was 2 and I'm 7. I'm still learning.
Getting it right sought the opinions of some experts who spoke on how parents can help identify and nurture their kids' talents.
How to engage our children outside formal education. Now let's start with this. What is formal education? Formal education could be described as the structured education that we acquired in formal settings, such as schools, primary schools, or let's start with nursery schools, the primary schools, or even the crèche, to colleges, tertiary institutions, and what have you. Now, these are schools that are set to attain or take up children to attain a particular structured position in the society where children receive formal education with a view to emplacing them for job opportunity, to get equal opportunity amongst their peers in the society and become relevant to the larger society. Amongst others, of course, in myriads of ways we have how formal education has helped in structuring the lives of citizens so that you know what time to go to school, what time to be out of school, what time to get married, what time to go to do some job, and all this. So this is a formal setting, making the society structured, giving the society formality. Now, an informal education, therefore, could be described as the education outside the formal space. That is, when you are educated outside the formal space, such as skills acquisition, talent hunt, exposure outside the formal space, or when you go on tourism, when you visit places, you're able to learn outside reading books. And of course, I need to mention very quickly here that formal education has to do with writing, but has to do with reading, has to do with structure kind of what you see, like the Montessori pattern of education. They show you what they want to show you and they teach you the way they want to teach you. Now, these in the formal space, I mean, the informal space does not have this kind of structured arrangement because the informal space is bigger, it's open, it is not really structured, it's almost limitless because in the informal space you have exposure, to something greater than what you have within a limited formal space. And to that we go to, when you're able to have children that are exposed to informal setting, apart from what they have been exposed to at the formal setting, it brings up, it creates something in them. If a child has a talent and has not given expression to that talent, exposing that child to the informal setting or informal kind of education will make the child to appreciate himself or herself. He's able to identify the person behind his personality. Oh, okay, I'm being trained formally to be a medical doctor, but informally I can sing. Or I'm being trained formally to be a lawyer, but informally I can be a presenter. This informal setting makes a child to get something outside what the society has said you should be, maybe what the parents said you should be. The informally, therefore, the child is able to be galvanized to getting a greater potential outside the formal space.
Every year around this time I start to think about you. Like today when we were picking out a tree without you. I can't believe it's been so long. Oh, memories still like hell. Those stories that you tell on the road that you cross, but never got to say. I don't know how to rush it. Rain rushing to my through my Well, I guess I was super cool. My dad actually taught me piano, so let's just play around with some other sounds.
Something else. Something else.
There's two more. To okay, and then she trains them to jump, roar, and also growl. And then when she was alive, she found a feeling formula that helps her to make her head control. Then she was so and then and then she can attack. And Ellie was really good at fighting. Tiny was just so happy and she was strong. And then Whiskers made them a formula that will make them superheroes that protect the city. Super children on the rescue. Da, da, da. Tiny has electronic power, and Ellie has super strength, and also laser eyes. And Tiny has a second one, flying. And Whiskers is the leader. And that's the story of the Defender of the Woods. Of course, you can make your own video of puppets. The end.
If you spot your child is engaging himself or herself in doing a particular thing effortlessly, and you know every talent you enjoy. If you have a talent or you are gifted in something, you do it effortlessly even when you don't have reward. You know, here we don't talk about the reward system. The reward system is at zero level. But then the young man is enthused. He has the enthusiasm to go on. You know, even though everybody says don't do it. Now, the guy says, I want to do this thing, man. I enjoy doing it. You know, because of the fact that that child derives happiness in doing that thing, the child is indefatigable. You know, indefatigably, the child is spurred on, and the child wants to achieve greater heights in that talent. So the benefit at home, if you're able to engage your child outside formal education, you're able to identify the talent and you're able to nurture the talent. And for example, a child that has the keenness, the avidity, or the penchant for sewing, you know, you say the child will get needle and thread and you'll get small piece of cloth and put it together. That child is telling you that I have interest in this thing. So once you're able to identify it, how do you nurture it? Okay, the child that the needle and thread by himself, hey, you get the child a sewing machine. What are you doing? You are nurturing that talent. Or a child that is interested in plaiting hair, you know, and he wants to just weave your hair and weave your hair, and you allow the child, that's your daughter, to weave your hair. Now, apart from the fact that you are giving the opportunity to that child to use the hand, to be hands-on, you are also enthusing that child. And for example, your child weaves your hair, and you go out with it, and your friends say, who weave your hair? It's my daughter. And each time your daughter says you that, oh, I weave mommy's hair, you're giving the enthusiasm to that child that, well, next time I weave mommy's hair, I'm going to do it better. You know, the child wants to grow with it. So now what you're doing when you identify the child's talent, you nurture, is that you are able to encourage the child to do more. You know, with this, the child, not even the sky is going to be the limit. You know, or you talk about a child that is interested in keyboard, is interested in always with sitting with the computer, when you're able to get the child the needed computer or the keyboard or what have you, then you see that the child is going to be enthused to do something greater. Number two is encouragement. Part of the benefit is encouragement for smaller achievements, which will bolster greater achievement. A child that does something small, something little, you don't belittle it. You don't say it's just something little. What did you do? It's just this rubbish. No. The benefit is that if you are able to give encouragement to little things that the child had done, it will become the takeoff point. It will become the ground for the child to grow bigger. It will become the ground, the takeoff ground for the child to achieve something greater. Now, supposing a child is able to do something small, and you make it look so big in the presence of the child looks like, wow. So mom is able to encourage me to do this. Is this thing so big? No, yes, that thing is not so big. But you told the child, what a big one. That's great. Next time the child wants to do it, the child doubles up the effort. The child won't look at the pain. The child looks at you, the father or the mother, as the backbone, the support base. Now you're able to provide a kind of a support base, at least emotionally, to the child. Give the child a long path, a wider space to glide. And if you can do that, then you're going to do a lot to help in a growing child. Next is when you're able to grow a child, when you're able to nurture a child, eventually the child can see the talent that you have been able to build. You have given the space to build a talent, apart from, the child eventually becomes a medical doctor. But the child is also good in maybe singing, maybe doing something else, and eventually the child is having multiple sources of income. The child is having income in the medics, the child is also having income in what he or she does outside the formal sector, outside the formal space. So you're able to create, through this encouragement, alternative source of income or sources of income, or you call it multiple sources of income for the child. Now with this, we can say that it's important for us, you parents, fathers and mothers, brothers and sisters, to make sure that you create the haven for the child to grow. Now let's go to the next point now. How do we engage them? I've talked about the benefit of engaging them, but how do we engage them? I mentioned this inter earlier, and I said, just simple. Identify it. How can you identify it? Pay attention to your children. Whatever your child does, pay attention. At least, silently. Pay silent attention to what children are doing. Observe them without the children knowing that they are being observed. And when you're able to see that the child is doing it well, don't say it's one of those prattles by children. No. To you, it could be a prattle, but to the child, it could be a great thing, a great way to start. Now, if you see a child doing some things and is doing it all the time, don't say you don't have time for any other thing. It's just this wasteful thing. No. Don't say carry your book. It's not everything about the book. The child can become something better outside the formal education. So identify the child, and I mentioned that to be able to identify the child, you must pay attention. And to be able to pay attention, you must give the space. You must create a time. Create time to be with the family. Create time to be with your children. Just sit around, let everybody talk and gist, and you begin to see the talent your children intrinsically have in them. And with this, not even the sky is going to be their limit. And of course, what you can do is, on how to engage them, is support them. I mentioned earlier that you can provide the support base for them. If the child is sewing cloth with needle and thread, buy the sewing machine. Right? If the child is trying to be a presenter, buy a microphone, and buy something for the child to just say something. Give the child a space to glide. Whatever is it that your child does, encourage the child by providing support. Furthermore, you can do monitoring. You can monitor the development of the child and balance it up. For for a child, for example, a child that is into sports, whatever kind of sports. Yes, you need to balance it out with the formal education so that the child doesn't just use the whole of the time he or she has only for one engagement. You know, it's okay, that is time for this, that is also time for that. So the child goes for sports, the child also reads the book. So you need to monitor the development and balance it up so that neither of them will tilt or outshine the other or take the other out of space. And lastly is management of the talent of the child. You need to manage the talent the child has in order not to become a distraction.
Trainers of actors of old are saying that training is very, very paramount. Now, if you just have talent and you have a lot of it and you are not trained, let me tell you, your performance will be monotonous. You'll be on the same level. You know, we cannot see dynamism in your performance. But when you are trained, when you have talent and you combine it with training, then you acquire the technique that you need to become dynamic. You know, so if you are just talented, raw talent, and that talent is not nurtured, is not developed, you know, you can't amount to much. All right? So you need to cultivate that talent so that you can keep growing in the industry. I have a friend who is so much talented. He can dance, he can sing, he can direct, he can do anything in the theater. But he's not trained. Just, what do you say? Jack of all trade, master of none. But if you just pick one aspect of the performing arts and you train yourself in it, you become the best in it. So if you just have talent and you are not trained, it can be a trap to you because you just think that, well, I'm talented, so I can go on, doing this thing without being trained. It's a trap, therefore, because you'll not be able to maximize that talent. But if you have just a little amount of talent, and you submit yourself to be trained, then you can achieve more in life because you're going to acquire the technique that you need. If you don't have that technique, you'll only be performing with inspiration, but you need inspiration, you need technique. And that technique can be acquired through training.
The implications of not engaging the children could be in myriads of ways. For example, the children could be into drugs. They could be into other forms of social vices, such as prostitution, pornography, and other evils in the land. And if you don't want to have children that will contribute to development of evil in the land or growing evil in the land, I think, in my candid submission and suggestion, I think you better just begin to engage them today in order that the children could be better children for tomorrow. In conclusion, for us to have good children for tomorrow, let us begin to look at what God has given the children and bolster it. Do not repress it. Support it and let it grow. Let it be that your child will have you. Your child will have you as the launch pad for greater achievement in life.
Develop your gifts and talents. Make maximum use of your gifts and talents. Associate with the right people